Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. If you follow global events at all, you've probably noticed that during al-Adha, millions of Muslims around the world take part in animal sacrifice. But have you ever actually paused to wonder, what is the deep historical root here? What's the profound wisdom behind this ancient practice? Well, today we're unpacking the source material to uncover not just the rich history, but the real-world, modern-day impact of these global sacrifices.
And that brings us right to the big question we're answering in this Explainer. Why is this specific sacrifice made every single year all across the globe? To really grasp the answer, the source material transports us thousands of years back in time. We're talking about a story of profound faith, unimaginable tests, and a legacy that literally shapes the actions of millions today.
Okay, let's dive into this with part 1, Ibrahim's ultimate test. To understand the weight of this whole story, we've got to look at a core premise in Islamic tradition. When a prophet has a dream, it's not just, a subconscious wandering of the mind after a late dinner. It is considered a direct command from the Creator. The source explains that Allah tests his people, especially prophets, to see where their true allegiances actually lie. It's a test to see, do you love your Creator more than the worldly gifts you've been given? And for Prophet Ibrahim, this test escalated super fast over 3 nights. Night 1, he dreams he's commanded to sacrifice something valuable. So what does he do? He sacrifices 100 camels from his caravan. Now, to put that into perspective, the source points out that giving up 100 camels back then is basically the equivalent of giving away 100 luxury cars today. He probably thought, okay, duty done. But no. Night 2, the dream is back. This time he sacrifices 200 camels. Yet on the 3rd night, the dream returns again. And this time the command was to sacrifice his absolute most beloved possession.
Ibrahim knew instantly what his most beloved possession was. It wasn't wealth, it wasn't livestock. It was his son, Ismail. And the emotional weight here is just immense. According to the source, Ismail was born only after Ibrahim had spent 80 years praying for a child. 80 years! He was precious beyond measure. But Ibrahim understood this was the ultimate test. Making an absolutely heartbreaking decision, he prepared to follow through.
Which brings us to part 2, defeating Shaitan's whispers. Now, what's really interesting here is the psychological warfare that happens next. On the morning of the sacrifice, Ibrahim asks his wife, Hajra, to beautifully prepare their son. With a heavy heart, father and son start their tense journey up a mountain. But, as you might expect, major obstacles pop up. Shaitan, or Satan, attempts to derail the entire sacrifice not just once, but 3 distinct times, actively targeting every single member of the family to find a weak link.
First up, he goes to the mother, Hajra. He disguises himself as an elder and tells her Ibrahim isn't taking Ismail to a feast but to kill him. But instead of panicking, her response is just unbelievable. She basically says, if this is truly Allah's command, then it's their good fortune. She actually stated she would happily sacrifice 1,000 sons like Ismail if commanded to. Her unwavering bravery totally shut down attempt number 1.
So failing with the mom, Shaitan moves to the kid. He tries to terrify 13-year-old Ismail with the harsh reality of what's about to happen. But guys, the astonishing maturity of this 13-year-old shines right through. Ismail just echoes his mother's faith, completely welcoming the sacrifice if it really is a divine command.
Finally, getting desperate, Shaitan targets Ibrahim himself. He tries to weaponize his fatherly love, whispering all these doubts like, who's going to support you in your old age? What if this sacrifice isn't even accepted? But Ibrahim recognizes the manipulation immediately. Filled with righteous anger, he literally picks up stones and hurls them at Shaitan to drive him away. And this brilliantly illustrates the direct line between ancient history and modern practice. That act of throwing stones wasn't just some fleeting historical footnote. It was immortalized. Today, as millions of pilgrims perform Hajj, throwing stones at pillars representing Shaitan is actually one of the mandatory rituals, forever memorializing how Ibrahim rejected temptation. Let's move into part 3, the miracle of sacrifice. Father and son finally make it to the mountaintop, and the tension is just palpable. The time for the ultimate test is here, and the source details these agonizing final preparations. Ismail, knowing the absolute sheer pain his dad is about to go through, makes 2 incredible requests. He asks for his own hands and feet to be bound, and he tells his father to put on a blindfold. Why? So Ibrahim wouldn't have to look into his beloved son's eyes, feel that unbearable pain, and maybe risk backing out at the very last second.
So Ibrahim secures the blindfold. He draws the blade, makes the cut, but then a miracle happens. He hears the sound of an animal. He rips off the blindfold, and to his absolute shock, Ismail is standing right there, completely safe and smiling. In his place, a ram, a dumma, had been miraculously sacrificed instead.
A voice from the heavens declares that Ibrahim had passed the ultimate test. The sacrifice was accepted, and Allah made a profound declaration right then and there. This act of supreme devotion is going to be remembered until the Day of Judgment. It established a sunnah, a tradition, that believers follow by offering an animal sacrifice every single year in remembrance.
All right, part 4, the 3 shares. Let's see how this ancient miracle builds into the strict rules applied today.
So, the crucial point is how this sacrifice actually benefits society right now. You don't just buy the halal animal and stock your own freezer. The meat is strictly divided into 3 equal shares. 1/3 goes straight to the poor and needy. 1/3 is gifted to relatives, and you only keep that final third for your own home.
And what this means in practice is a real game changer. The source notes that for so many impoverished people around the world, this festival is literally a globally anticipated event, because for many of them, this is the only time of the entire year they get to eat meat. It transforms an ancient act of devotion into a massive global hunger relief effort.
And that brings us perfectly to part 5, the modern message of charity.
How do we translate this historical spirit into something we can do today? Well, serving humanity is a core part of the Islamic faith, and specifically during the first 10 days of Hajj, doing good deeds and helping those in need are considered to be immensely loved by the Creator, like even more so than good deeds done the rest of the year.
To put this into practice, the creator of our source material issued a really specific call to action. They highlight a partnership with Keto, which is a 100% verified crowdfunding platform to tackle a real urgent medical emergency. It's a fantastic way to channel that festive spirit of giving into a secure platform with a donor protection guarantee to genuinely help people who are suffering.
And the stakes for this specific campaign? They are incredibly high. We're talking 3.1 million rupees, 31 lakhs, needed for life-saving medical treatment for a 5-month-old baby named Anis, who is battling a life-threatening disease. His family simply cannot cover that staggering cost on their own. And this perfectly wraps up the whole theme of today's explainer. Look, today we might not be asked to literally sacrifice our possessions the way Ibrahim was on that mountain, but the concept, it absolutely lives on. Modern sacrifice equals saving human lives. By donating a portion of our wealth to people who desperately need medical care, we are embodying that exact same ancient spirit of devotion and charity. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final thought. The story of Eid al-Adha might be thousands of years old, but its lessons on selflessness, overcoming doubt, and taking care of the hungry, they are just as relevant today as they were back then. So, how will you turn the spirit of sacrifice into a real, tangible act of humanity today? Think about it. Thank you so much for learning with us, and we'll see you in the next explainer.